There's a major development going on in Syria right now. Turkey says one of its Air Force jets disappeared over the Mediterranean Sea, and they claim that it was shot down by the Syrian government. Now, Syrian military officials have said that it did shoot down the Turkish fighter, but they shot it down over their own territorial waters. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the F-4 warplane that went missing near Syria earlier on Friday was downed by Syrian forces, and that the two of the pilots from the plane are still missing. The Turkish government put forward this statement. Following the evaluation of data provided by our related institutions and the findings of the joint search and rescue efforts with Syria, it is understood that our plane was downed by Syria. Now, it should come as no surprise that the Turkish government is joining the United States and many others, decrying Syrian President Bashar Assad, asking him to step down because he supposedly killed, what's it now, tens of thousands of people in his country. However, I don't suppose it's also a coincidence that Turkey just happens to be a country belonging to NATO, which makes me very suspicious of the whole thing. Now, of course, nobody's asking why Turkish jets were flying over Syria. Why were Turkish jets in Syrian territory? That also seems to be a question that the mainstream media is not asking. This also is very reminiscent of the 80s when U.S. fighter jets complained that they were being shot at by Libya. It was a big famous incident, and Reagan had outrage and all that over the time. However, even then, no one bothered to notice that U.S. jets were being shot at inside of Libyan space, because the planes were sent over Libya to be shot at. And that went up with the whole thing against Gaddafi in the 80s. I believe that this is actually the same thing happening once again. Nobody is asking why NATO jets are flying over Syria, despite the fact that they declared that they were not interested in military action at this time. Like, at this time, they want to do it, but they're not quite ready yet. No one is asking a very important question: why NATO warplanes are flying over Syria when they have a non-intervention policy at this time. All this has managed to do is cause more tension with Syria and its neighbors. This is intended to paint the Bashar Assad regime as being even worse. It's intended to create more hostilities towards the country, and therefore give a greater excuse for going in against the country to knock down the regime whilst trying to defend itself from the NATO terrorists.